what it is. Okay? It's not fruit per se, but it is the works of the flesh. With adultery being the root of all sin, because that is how it started. Now, all of these sins, all of these works of the flesh was committed by Adam and the woman at the time that adultery was committed. Fornication, witchcraft, seduction, drunkenness, murder, strife, all of these were committed at the same time. In other words, all of these happened in the Garden of Eden. Not just adultery, but all of these happened in the Garden of Eden. Okay? And you say, well, how did it happen? Huh? How did it happen? How did fornication happen in the Garden of Eden? Because she fornicated with the devil, with an idol. She accepted a relationship with an idol.
Right.
Which was Satan.
Right.
So it was spiritual fornication that was committed there. And murder was committed when the innocence was destroyed. They were naked in the garden and they knew it not. The innocence was destroyed. It was murder. And then their self, the life that was in the blood of man, was murdered by sin. All of these happened in the Garden of Eden, along with the adultery. The iniquities that are responsible for our downfall of most church leaders in our communities and cities of America and the so-called free world, labeled the straight line to hell. This is what it is. It's right there. And those are the sins that destroys most church leaders right there.
Yes, sir.
It's adultery, fornication, witchcraft, seditions, and drunkenness. This can also be physical drunkenness and spiritual drunkenness. There's a little bit of both there on the behalf of the ones in the garden. All of this new knowledge of what was going on, and you can imagine this flesh beginning to feel for the first time all of these different vibes and everything that is happening. It's enough to make you drunk. And I can imagine how they felt because of all that was trying to happen in their lives at this time. In other words, they were overloaded.
Yes, sir.
And these are the adultery, the works of the flesh that I have listed here. Adultery is outlined for Bible use, is what it is. Adultery, called philandry or infidelity, is a form of extramarital sex. It originally referred to more specifically sex between a woman who was married and a person other than her spouse. Adultery is defined as carnal and connection between a married person and one unmarried, or between a married person and the spouse of another. It is seen as different from fornication in that it supposes the marriage of one or both of the agents. Fornication, we know, is adultery between illicit sexual intercourse between the unmarried. The term that typically refers to consensual sexual intercourse between unmarried heterosexual adults. I don't deal with anything other than heterosexual details in this here. I don't get into lesbianism and homosexual and things of that sort, and try to define fornication and adultery, because those things are something that is entirely different than the intended description of these things to be between a man and a woman in a heterosexual sense. So we don't get into those too much. Uncleanliness. There's a lot that can be said about uncleanliness. The sin of uncleanliness. And if you would notice, all of these sins in the garden All of these sins in the garden are either feminine nouns or masculine nouns. The sins that the woman created are all feminine nouns. How that happened, I don't know, down through all the thousands of years, and it turns out that when you describe nouns as being feminine or masculine, they still hold as if it was just yesterday. It's the way God did everything. And all of the sins that committed by the woman, most of them in the garden was committed by the woman. And they are all feminine nouns. A few of them was committed by the man, and one of them was committed by both of them. Okay? So that is how all of this falls out. Uncleanness is not clean, dirty, immoral, pure, evil, vile. Having a physical or moral blemish, chiefly biblical. Biblical uncleanliness is this. It means having a physical or moral blemish so as to make impure according to the laws. And these are the things that Moses gave a man a right to put away his wife. Was those physical or moral blemishes so as to make impure according to the law. In other words, if there was something that was not right about her uncleanliness physically, or if there was a mental condition. Some women are just scared to death of doing that. Some women freeze up. They're frigid, you know, and they just can't follow through this action. And these are the things that Moses allowed a man to put away his wife for. It had to do with the physical or mental blemish of her uncleanness. Some women are so shamefaced until it's hard for them to do certain things. Lasciviousness, unbridled lust. Unbridled lust. When the woman saw, when she saw that it was pleasant to the eye, she just went for it. She took it and she did eat. So she committed the sin of lasciviousness there, along with the sin of adultery, because of his unbridled lust and his necessity, wantedness, craving for it, and everything. Inclined for lustful want, arousing sexual desire. See? And as Satan began to talk, this desire began to arouse her, indicating sexual interest of expressive, of lust or loveliness. So, and all of these works of the flesh reverts back to what happened in the Garden of Eden. And these are found in Galatians, right? They're found in Romans too, but in Galatians where they are found. And all of these you can get adultery was the worship of false gods. That is also a feminine noun, and that was committed by Eve when she accepted and actually worshiped the devil. As he began to pump this thing up, she began to worship him to the point that she received him. She took of the fruit. She received him. And that is the adultery that took place in the Garden of Eden. All of these sins happened in the Garden of Eden that we're dealing with today. That's how they become known. That is how the knowledge of good and evil was manifest to the human family, was in the Garden of Eden. And all of those, it goes on down. Witchcraft is another. Sorcery. Magical acts often found in connection with adultery and fostered by him. The metaphor, the deception and seductions of adultery. And that is exactly what took place with the woman there in the Garden of Eden, was the